Let's recap the Giants' loss to the Eagles with our Giants beat writer for the New York Post, Paul Schwartz, so we can officially put Week 7 into the books. Paul, we got a chance to briefly see each other as the game was ending. You were about to go into the locker room. I guess take us into the locker room, man. After a loss like that, obviously the vibes weren't going to be high, but did you read into anything?
Yeah, we saw each other, and we both looked at each other like we can't believe it, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's shame on us. I mean, why can't we believe it, right? You know what I mean? The Giants lose at home all the time this year, 0-4. They almost never score touchdowns, 1 touchdown in 4 home games. So, like, we were looking at each other like, and I remember we both said, I can't believe it's this bad. I can't believe this is bad on offense. And we should be saying, well, we can believe it's this bad, right? We both watched the team very closely. So, yeah, I mean, the locker room was pretty bad, you know what I mean? And we'll get into, I mean, this is the first time Daniel Jones, interestingly, he always goes into the podium, into the interview room after the game. For this game, they said Daniel will do it at his locker. I don't know for what reason. You know, a lot of times what happens is a lot of people skip the interview room and they go right into the locker room. So therefore, Daniel Jones, especially after a game where they lose and he doesn't play well, there's not a lot of people in the interview room. So they figure, why might as well just do it in the locker room. So it was a big crowd around Daniel in the locker room. But it also was almost kind of fitting, almost like Daboll spoke in the interview room, and no players are kind of like worth going into the interview room. You know, let's just do it all in the locker room. And he was upset, so we'll get into that. And Brian Burns was upset. Dexter Lawrence was upset. You know, I mean, they know that this offense is inept right now, and I don't know if anyone knows if they have any answers for it.
Well, let's talk about Daniel. Obviously, he was benched, and you don't want. I mean, the way that just everything played out from the Saquon Barkley situation, we could talk about Saquon if you want in a bit, but see the entire situation be played out throughout Hard Knocks, all throughout the media, all throughout the summer training camp, and you hear Saquon say in his post-game conference, I'm glad this game is over. We can put that to bed. It's unfortunate that Saquon runs wild in MetLife Stadium, and Daniel Jones, the guy that they paid, was benched. He talked about being benched. I mean, Paul, take us into that conversation, man. Did the beat writers, did you guys grill him? What was Daniel like? What was he saying when you guys were asking about not only his play this season, but him being benched?
Yeah, I mean, I called it in the New York Post a sad synergy. You know what I mean? I mean, they did choose Daniel over Saquon, right? They could have franchised one of them and paid one of them. They franchised Saquon for a year, and then they paid Daniel. So this was that coming home to roost, so to speak, on the field. Daniel struggling again, Saquon running wild for his first time against the Giants. Look, Brian Daboll said that. This is the way he explained it. He said we had 100 yards, basically saying we had 100 total yards at that point early in the fourth quarter. I was trying to create some type of juice and make a few plays, swing momentum a little bit. But that didn't happen. Clearly they don't believe that Drew Lock is a guy who they want to start games for the Giants. They put him in, it didn't work. And he said Daniel will be the quarterback going forward. Okay, in the locker room, Daniel was not happy about it. He said, yeah, it was frustrating. Sometimes quarterbacks do say, look, I don't like coming off the field, but I understand the coach was looking for a spark. I'm going to be the quarterback next week. He did what he felt he needed to do, maybe to give us a spark. Daniel was not buying any of that. He said, yeah, I didn't like it, obviously, he said. And then he said, Daboll, he didn't call him Dave's or Coach Daboll. He said, Daboll, it's his team, and it's up to him to make those decisions. So he was not happy about it. But, really, quite frankly, Daniel doesn't have much of a leg to stand on here with this. This was not a great injustice. At that point, it was literally like throwing a Hail Mary. You just throw it up there and see what happens. Drew Lock was not that he wasn't ready to play. The pass, the rush got to him. He's throwing the ball away. I think the first play, he kind of bobbles the snap, and there's a guy right in his face, and he's lucky the ball's not intercepted. He throws a pass, I think, to Wan'Dale Robinson for negative yards. That was not going to go well. There was no spark there. And I thought Daboll was smart, though. He did not wait. Brandon, you've seen this a lot of times with coaches, right? Especially with Daboll, when after the game, okay, what's happening moving forward? Well, we're going to look at it. We're going to say everything. We're going to study it. I'm not going to make any judgments now. And that just opens a whole can of worms. Oh, yep. He didn't give Daniel a vote of confidence here. He just came out and say it. I benched him. I didn't say bench. He said, I took him out. I wanted to find a spark. Didn't happen. We only had 100 yards. Daniel's the quarterback moving forward, kind of put that to bed. Daniel will start Monday night in Pittsburgh. Fine. That was smart of him. But, I'd like to say it's a raging controversy, and I can, go like this and say, oh, as a writer, I can get some juice out of this, but there is no raging controversy. No one's clamoring for Drew Lock. Some fans like Tommy DeVito a little bit, maybe want to see him play. I don't think that's happening, certainly. It's going to be Daniel Jones for the foreseeable future. So, more of the same, I guess.
Yeah, I think the whole Tommy DeVito thing, I think he gets thrown in there only because of injuries or if the season is completely a wash and you're hoping it's kind of like you don't want to see DeVito play. But as one undrafted free agent, like I want to see him get in and rock and get some opportunity. But it's like, that means that the Giants season is officially done. Just offensively, I think a blueprint has been put out there. I think Brian Flores, defense coordinator for the Vikings, did a really good job of putting a blueprint on how to stop the Giants' offense. Play two high safeties, play deep coverage, force everything. Force the Giants to methodically beat you and rush the quarterback. Daniel Jones doesn't seem – it's just I want to see him take off from time to time. I want to see him gain yards with his feet, get down and stay ahead of the chains. And it's just he doesn't look like the guy he looked like in 2022 when it comes to confidence. So hopefully this benching can kind of build some sort of flame underneath him to get him going. But that's just going to be something that dynamic between Daboll and Daniel Jones is going to be under a microscope for the rest of this foreseeable future, Paul, for sure.
Yeah, no, it is. And, I don't think it lights a fire. I don't think he wasn't doing it to light a fire into Daniel. He was just saying, he basically, you know what, Brand, he basically said it can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. No, yeah. I mean, they had 100 total yards and 3 points. I mean, what's he going to say? So Drew Lock isn't going to come in. I mean, he could throw it into a pick six interception, right? It's already 28-3. The game's over. So, I mean, can we get a spark? Maybe he can, hit something, have a big play. Look, this was the first game without Andrew Thomas this season, and I think we had talked about this. I was wrong on this. I thought Josh Azudu was more ready to play this year than he was last year. Last year when he was thrust into the lineup in week 2 after Andrew Thomas went down, turned out to be for 7 games with a strained hamstring, Azudu would have been playing guard. He had taken virtually no snaps at tackle. I thought it was unfair to put him out there as a second-year player. Yeah. This year he has been taking snaps at left tackle. He's been taking backup snaps at left tackle. I thought he would be more ready. I thought this line, the other 4 offensive linemen, would be more capable of securing that side, of giving him more help. He gave up 2 sacks in the first quarter. I don't think John Michael Schmitz had a good game. And look, this game, before this, you talked about the blueprint that Brian Flores put out there, and I don't disagree with that. But in the last 5 games, the Giants hadn't given up more than 3 sacks in any of those 5 games. Ever since the Viking game, it was very manageable, right? The pass protection was very manageable the last 5 games. This game, it was not, almost from the jump. So it was not only Daniel, he had no protection. There were a couple of times they designed like little quarterback draws. There were times last year, 2 years ago, he would gain 11, 12. He gained 3. Yeah. It was second and
7,
8,
7, 8,
and he
yeah.
gained 3 and made it 3rd and 3, and they didn't pick up the first down. Not good enough. When you're calling a quarterback draw, you're not doing it for 3 yards. So I think that the offensive line, I thought, was more ready to absorb this hit, at least in the short term. And yesterday, clearly, they were not.
Yeah, just offense taking step backs, and it puts a lot of weight on the defense's shoulder, who I thought outside of the two big plays, the big run by Saquon, and then this, you can see it on the screen right here, that fourth down touchdown to A.J. Brown. I thought the defense in the first half played pretty well outside of those two big plays. But, Paul, again, we talk about it each week. It's hard to stop an NFL offense when you have no help from your offense in terms of applying pressure by scoring points. What do you think about Shane Bowen and that defense yesterday?
Yeah, Brandon, here's what happens when you have no offense and the defense has to play almost perfect, right? What happened in the Bengals game? Shane Bowen said he was not happy with the call he made that resulted in a 47-yard touchdown run for Joe Burrow, right? A quarterback who doesn't run like that. He said, yeah, I was not happy with my call. That one's on me. Okay, that shouldn't cost you the game, but it basically did, right? The Giants lost 17-7. In this game, I'd be interesting to see what he says later in this week, Shane Bowen, but to have one-on-one coverage, Nick McLeod on A.J. Brown, does not seem to me to be sensible defensive play calling. Now, either it was a busted assignment or he just said, okay, we can do this on this play. And what happens? The predictable happens, right? Nick McLeod is in the game because Cordell Flott, has a little groin issue that, I don't know, a little groin issue, but he was forced out of the game. And so they put McLeod in there. What did A.J. Brown have? You're the expert. What do you have? A step on him? Half a step? Step and a half?
You had a lot of separation, step and a half right there for you to be able to catch it and not be touched. So, yeah.
Right. McLeod is there, but he's trailing, and it's a perfect throw. It's an easy catch. It's a walk-in touchdown for 41 yards. So if you have two bad calls as a defensive coordinator in 2 weeks and they cost you touchdowns and essentially the game, that's a problem. Now, the defense was really good early, right? Really good early. The Eagles are still the only team in the NFL to not have scored a point in the first quarter. The Eagles win the toss and say, we'll give it to the Giants. The Giants don't do anything. The Eagles get the ball and don't score. You know what I mean? They didn't score the whole, 3 and out, whole first quarter. Good for the Giants defense. If this was an honest game, what I call an honest game is that a game where the Eagles had to run it and had to pass it. It was kind of, wasn't decided early, and they would have to drop back and throw the ball. The Eagles could not block them. I asked Brian Burns after the game. He said no. They could not block us one-on-one. They could not block us one-on-one. The Giants had 4 sacks in the first half. Dexter had 2. Burns had 1. Ojulari had 1. They could not block them. So if it was an honest game and the Eagles had to do that 25 times, it would have been a big problem for the Eagles, a big problem. What happened in the second half? Jalen Hurts throws the ball 4 times for two completions for 16 yards. What is that? Army? Army football back in the day, right? You know what I mean? We don't have to throw the ball. Yeah. So there was no opportunity to get sacks and create, mayhem. That's on the offense. But I will not absolve the defense of this, okay? The Eagles were going to have a good number of rushing yards because they were going to run it so often. They ran it, let me see. How many times did they run it? I don't have that. 45 times. Okay, if you run it 45 times, you're not going to have 100 yards. You're going to have 150 yards. You're just going to. Now, I don't absolve the defense of giving up runs of 55, 41, and 38 to Saquon Barkley, who is, as we know, we saw him his whole career. He can do that, right? Yep. 1, -2, 1, 4, 50. We know that. There weren't any negatives, though, with Saquon, not many of them. So, Saquon had a field day. Let's talk about this, right now. You want to ask me what I thought of Saquon, but I don't absolve the defense of giving up 268 rushing yards. That is inexcusable. So, but they were put in a bad spot and absolutely, because, and look, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Brian Burns said it. They know, and Jalen Hurts said it after the game. We know they have a really good defensive front. So what's the best way to mitigate a good defensive front? Don't drop back and throw it.
Yep. And you can see it. They only threw for 70 passing yards in the game. 70 passing yards. And they ran the ball, rushed the ball for 269 yards. They were 1 for 13 on third down, Paul.
1 for 13, and they won the game easily.
1 for 13.
And they won it easily. I mean, So look, that's a credit to the defense too, 1 for 13. And also, it's funny. I came away from that game not thinking any more of the Eagles.
Yep.
The Eagles were 3-2 coming into the game, and it almost seemed like they lost the game last week. All the controversy coming out of Philly with Sirianni and with the way the offense was playing. Of course, the Giants are Mr. Feel Good. They make everybody feel good, right? The Cowboys can't stop the run. They play the Giants. The Giants make them feel like Mr. Feel Good. They can stop the run. The Bengals come in last week. They can't stop anybody. They come in, they stop the Giants. The Giants make them play Mr. Feel Good. The Eagles now, they're kind of like, the head coach is doing loony things. He's yelling at the fans. We got a problem here. Our offense is no good. They come in, the Giants make them play, make them feel like Mr. Feel Good. They can do whatever they want. They don't even need to throw the ball. When they threw the ball, they were effective. They didn't even need to throw it.
Yeah, it's complimentary football. You got to be able to play complimentary football in the NFL, and you want to apply pressure by scoring points. And you say Shane Bowens is going to kick himself for that, but it's like you look at it, you shouldn't. I mean, yes, you have to be perfect in a way, but it's two big plays shouldn't hurt you that much if your offense can go back and get you back and get those points back. When you're coming off the field, whether it's offense or defense, and let's say a big play just happens, you want the defense to be like, don't worry, we got you guys back. Or if the other team scores, you want the offense to come back on the field and be like, hey, guys, we got your back. We'll go and we'll get those points back. You don't see that confidence right now with this team. And I don't know how you right the ship and all. That's something they're going to have to do in-house if it does get righted. But at the same time, you're just not seeing complimentary football. So now we can talk about Saquon, because there was a run. And I knew he woke up with violence when there was a run in the beginning of the game, or a pass on 3rd and something. He didn't get the first down, but he lowered the shoulder on Dane Belton on the Giants sideline, and I said, uh-oh, it's about to be something today. 2-6 came to play. I thought they did a good job bottling him up at first, and then Saquon just he sat there and forced Giants fans, whether he burned his jersey, booed the man, whatever. They didn't boo him the entire game. You're looking at it like, oh, not this again. And you're looking at it like, we let this shiny toy go down I-95, and now he is an Eagle. What were you guys, in terms of beat writers, what were you guys' impression on Saquon and how he looked on Sunday?
He looks healthy. He looks fast. He looks strong. Look, the first 7 carries, he had 17 yards, and they were booing him every carry. That was it. You get, just like in basketball, right? The guy gets the ball, you boo him. If, he played for the other team or transferred or whatever. Then he starts running for 55, and they're like, the fans are like, oh, here we go again. What are you going to boo? You know what I mean? Look, it was totally personal with Saquon. He didn't say it before the game, but he did. They told him, Joe Schoen told him, you're 27, and at 27, running backs start declining. They told him, you're worth this. We're not giving you $26 million in guaranteed money. No one's going to give that to you. And if anyone's going to give it to you, God bless them. Well, the Eagles gave it to them. Now, the Giants and Eagles are in different spots. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It would have been, we've seen Saquon do really good things for the Giants and them have a lousy team, right? So it's not like, well, if Saquon runs for 1,200 yards this year, we're going to be good. He ran for 1,300 as a rookie, and they were lousy. He ran for 1,300 last year, right, and stayed healthy, and they were lousy. Yeah. So, so it's not like, well, as Saquon goes, so go the Giants. So he was a missing piece situation, the Eagles thought, which is why it was appropriate for them to give him the money. He's counting less on the salary cap this year, I think $3.8 million, than Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy combined, which I think are like $4.3 million on the cap. There's always a way to do it with the cap. Joe Schoen was not willing to invest that much in a running back, and so he didn't do it. John Mara said, right, on Hard Knocks, I am not going to be able to sleep at night if he goes to the Eagles. Well, I'll leave you with this. John Mara was, I saw him before the game, and I'm sure he's very tense. He's always tense with this, with the way the state of the franchise has been for more than a decade. With Saquon coming in, with all those Eagles fans in the building, I'm not sure how well he slept Sunday night. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how well he slept Sunday night, because that was Saquon was classy, took the high road, didn't dance on the Giants. He could have. He said, I still love that organization. I love the people, all that stuff. I'm glad the game's over, like you said. Yep. He didn't say, look, Saquon could have come right out, Brandon, right? He would have been within his rights to say, they didn't believe in me. I signed with a team that did. Let you be the judge of who was right. He could have said that, and it still would have been fairly classy, and you would have been, okay, in the short term, it's Saquon 1, Giants nothing. There's no question about it. He didn't even say that. So good for Saquon. He's a class act. We know that. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to have. I mean, he's got some massive numbers, and they played one game fewer than everybody, and he's still up there among the league leaders. So, he might throw a 1,500 spot on the league this year. He might.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to tip your hat to him. Like any player that bets on himself, any player that kind of goes against the grain or fan base and still comes out and produces, you got people booing you, you got people burning your jersey, and you still go out there and put on a show. You just got to tip your cap to a guy like that. He was a class act while he was here. Yep.
Yeah, let me add one thing. Could you imagine being an adult, right? I think we've talked about this earlier in the scene. If you could imagine an adult with a Saquon jersey in the tailgating, right, in the parking lot with your kids nearby and your buddies and your friends, and burning a player's jersey. Could you imagine? What kind of sad individual are you to burn another man's jersey? I mean, really, it's not even funny. It's like, it's almost sick. I mean, burning. You want to go out and sit in the seats you paid, $200 for your tickets and boo him? Great, boo him. You have the right to boo him. He left your team. You're not happy about it. Boo him. He's playing for the team you hate. Boo him. Burning a guy's jersey. I mean,
yeah. Well, he got the last laugh.
It's so low rent. I mean, you know what? You know who else got the last laugh? The Giants, because for that fan. Because how much money did you pay for that jersey? Right?
Unless it was bootleg.
So you paid something for that jersey, right? You paid something for it. So you're the idiot who paid for a man's jersey and then wanted to burn it. Burn it? Yeah. Just give it away to charity or something like that if you don't want it. Burn it?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So 2-5. We'll get into the Steelers game in depth.
Yeah.
2-5. Paul, I mean, where is his team right now? Where is this team? Obviously, 2-5. The record's 2-5. You are what the record says. But in your eyes, where is this team? And is there a path to go back up, to get back into the winning column, put a streak together, or is that something you tell me don't hold your breath?
Well, I would say don't hold your breath. Look, there's always a path to win a couple of games here and there, but right now the path is downward. I mean, they're getting worse. They're getting worse offensively. There's no question about it. And the cumulative effects of that have take a big hit to the defense, as we talked about. If no one's going to let the Giants pass rush, it's going to be a big problem because the Giants never have a lead or they're trailing by too much. Look, this is the first time Brian Daboll saw fit to take his quarterback off the field for, the last 11 and a half minutes of the game. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to always get something started with Daniel, even if they're losing. Let's get something started with Daniel, so maybe it'll carry over to next week. He said, the heck with that. Doesn't matter. When nothing's carrying over, we got to just, take him out of the game. So he'll start. I don't think it's a short leash because I don't think they want to bench him and put Drew Lock in as the starter. Yeah. But right now, I don't think there's any light in the tunnel on offense right now. I don't see it. Andrew Thomas is out for the year. Malik Neighbors came back this week, and it was basically no effect. So the only silver lining is that they're going on the road, and they play better on the road. That's all there is to it. They're going on the road to Pittsburgh. You saw what Pittsburgh just did. They mauled the Jets, right, on Sunday night. They mauled them. They mauled him. You know what I mean? They now 37 points. They scored a touchdown late. It was 30-15 in that game. I watched that game. They mauled them. Pittsburgh is a tough team. Russell Wilson looks like he's got his stuff together in his first start at quarterback for them. Pittsburgh will not take lightly to, trying to block them with inferior players. T.J. Watt will not stand for that, but the Giants play better on the road, but this offense has to play light years better to be competitive. So I don't know what Brian Daboll does. I don't know right now. I think he's trying a lot of different things and nothing's working.
Yeah, if only we could have cameras in that coach's meeting right now in terms of how to get a spark going when it comes to that Giants offense. All right, Paul, we can close our laptops, close out NFL Week 7, Giants Week 7. We'll see you guys later on in the week for the Blue Rush Preview Show.